Welcome to the Nerd Party.
Scully,
Yes?
marry me.
I love you and I like you.
I love you and I like you.
I love that woman. I love her more than sharks love blood.
I love you.
You don't.
Hello, I'm Tristan Riddell.
And I'm the girl.
And this is Nerd Nuptial. If this is your first time listening, we are a married couple looking at life through a nerdy lens. How are you doing today?
I'm good. We're good. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Things are good. I think so.
I think so too.
We're
Just
sorry.
checking in.
I'm just, you know me, I'm just checking in every once in a while. We're sorry that this is a little bit late.
Yeah.
We sat down to record on Sunday night
we
like we
did.
normally do. And we got the mics ready, we got the laptop ready, and I was just like, oh, well, we can't record tonight because I left my USB adapter someplace else. And I was so angry at myself. It's one thing that I hate about the new Macs, like the new MacBooks, is that none of them have USB ports anymore.
Yeah, it's just so weird to me.
I did.
I know. Yeah.
Everything runs on USB.
Yeah.
And so I have this little
you have to
dongle
have
flapping around.
adapter for, like, that just seems flawed that you have to have an adapter for that. Like,
Everything. You have to have an adapter for everything.
Yeah, that's so weird.
And so, yes, that is the
That's
sole
why.
reason.
Yeah.
That is the sole reason why you guys are
A
getting
little bit late.
Nerd Nuptial a little bit late. But we're still releasing on Monday, just late on Monday. And over the weekend, we saw two brand spanking new movies, one in the theater and one which was a Netflix release.
That's right.
The Netflix release that we saw was Outlaw King, starring Chris Pine.
That's right.
And the theatrical release was The Girl in the Spider's Web, which is a sequel to The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo that was released in 2011 and directed by David Fincher. Now, the Spider's Web was directed by Fede Alvarez, who is known for the Evil Dead remake, which no one liked,
Okay.
and some other horror films that no one ever heard of.
Okay.
So, you know,
Alright,
there's that.
Yeah.
And the guy who directed Outlaw King was David Mackenzie, and he's the one who directed Hell or High Water.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I liked Hell or High Water.
Yeah.
You didn't really dig on it.
Which one was that?
You don't even remember which one it was. It was Chris Pine and Jeff Bridges and the guy who used to date Robin Wright. Crap, what's his name?
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
I'm totally blanking.
No,
on
I
his
know
name.
who you're talking about.
He's a really
but-
good actor. We saw him in Streetcar.
Yeah.
And I'm totally blanking on his name. This is sad. But yeah, so the same director as that. And so this was Outlaw King was big budget for him. Like it was I think it was like something in the 90 millions or something like that.
Really?
Yeah. And that's pretty big for a Netflix movie.
That is.
Yeah.
Yeah. You were really excited about Outlaw King.
I was. Yes.
Was
And
it because of the subject matter or because of Chris Pine?
I think it was both.
Okay.
I love the subject matter. Like I love Scottish history. I love medieval history. I love the uprising. I love the fight for independence. I mean, I'm an American, so I am all about whenever a country tries to break away from England. It's just, you know,
Oh, gosh.
that's just, it's in my blood. So I'm all about it.
And you know more like about the history of actual like events than like,
Yes.
let's say like a Braveheart that is basically like just a fun movie kind of with using the names subject matter.
I think that's the thing. Is that, like that was one thing they were kind of billing it as a return to history. Now, no movie is historically completely accurate.
Right.
But this one, they were just trying to say like, oh, we're trying to utilize history as much as possible because Braveheart did not. And I hate it. I understand it where people get upset about certain things where like filmmakers will take liberty with things that actually happened, like people who actually existed. Like I understand it, but at the same time, I'm also like, Braveheart's not a documentary. Don't treat it like a documentary. It's fiction. It's based on historical event. It doesn't mean that it's word for word what actually happened.
Right.
Because lots of times we don't actually know.
Right. So people just make up what in between or
I think one thing that we were talking about, like my favorite inaccuracy in Braveheart was the when he fell in love with the queen from the princess from France, and played by Sophie Marceau. They fall in love, they make love, and then ultimately a child is produced. Well, none of that happened, and she would have been something like 6 at the time.
Oh,
this was all going down.
Yeah, that didn't happen.
Loved it. And so, yeah, and like I think the trailers were done really well, and
for Outlaw King.
And I love being able to watch something on Netflix immediately. I just
yeah, no,
something that's gonna come out, like, as it was released. I think it was first released at the Toronto Film Festival, and then it was released at a few festivals here and there. Actually, speaking of which, the Nerd Party was at the London Film Festival.
Yeah, Lee Hutchison was there.
Yeah, and he actually interviewed Chris Pine and several other people.
He did,
from Outlaw King.
Just so cool.
So here's just a small segment from his Chris Pine interview, his Chris Pine red carpet interview. Here you go.
Hi there, Chris. How did it feel to play a Scottish legend, and what kind of pressure comes with playing a Scotsman, the Scottish accent, swearing the right way?
Well, I figured I would be crucified by some people, so I kind of gave up trying to be a perfect Scotsman early on. I had an incredible dialect coach. I had worked with mainly Scottish men in the largest fraternity of mean actors of all time. And they were brutally honest with me and kept me in line. And I lived in Glasgow for 4 months and just tried to soak up as much as I could. And in terms of playing Robert the Bruce, it's a challenge I couldn't turn down. And the man is 600 some odd years old, and in order to pin down who this guy was is a bit more difficult than I thought. So I tried to do justice to the script that was given to me and the character that I saw on the page.
Well, thank you very much. We thought your Scottish accent was great. So
Thank you very much.
That's so cool.
How great is that Lee got to meet Chris Pine and ask him about Outlaw King? What you guys should do is, because there's a whole lot more interviews to that. There's like he got a whole lot more one-on-one time with some people who were involved with the film. So go to the nerdparty.com/filibuster and check it out. It's you'll see Chris Pine on the cover. That's the episode.
That's right.
And so like hear his episode there about Outlaw King and his interviews, as well as check out all of his other stuff about the London Film Festival.
I was going to say, if you're interested in any of the stuff coming out, I mean, he was there watching all of it and meeting everyone, so it's so cool. There's
tons and tons of episodes devoted to it, and he's a great interviewer. He is Johnny on the spot. He is there. He is at the festivals. He is at the premieres. And also, he just dropped a new show. It's called the A24 Project, and he hosts it with Dallas King. And it's all about movies that were distributed under the banner of A24. And they do some fantastic movies. I think they're best known for Moonlight,
right,
which won Best Friggin' Picture.
Right.
And they're starting from the first movie that they distributed, and they're doing 2 an episode, and they're going to go all the way to present day.
That's so cool.
And it's a great concept, hosted by great people, really insightful. So go to thenerdparty.com, check out the A24 Project.
Do it.
All right. So what did you think of Outlaw King? Now, there's nothing we can really spoil because
I was going to say it's historical again. I thought it was good. Like it didn't like wow me. But I enjoyed it while we were watching it. Would I watch it again? No. I'm not a huge history person. Is that terrible to say?
A little bit.
Yeah, I know. There was one time where I was just mentioning to your parents that I didn't like period pieces. I'm just not a huge period piece person. Like, it was just kind of weird because I feel like a lot of women, I mean, this is stereotype, but like so many times, like you're told like, well, oh, you should just like Jane Eyre. Like, you should like Jane Eyre. You should like those period pieces because you're a woman. Yeah. And I just don't. Like, I don't really like Pride and Prejudice. I don't like those. And I remember your mom said, oh, so you don't like history? and she loves history. She loves it.
Yes.
So that was a dig at me. I know, from your mom.
She's actually,
but that's okay.
That was she's one of the main reasons why I'm into history. and why
you even know about all this stuff.
While I
right.
actually know about like William Wallace and Robert the Bruce and everything like that, because she's an Anglophile and she's into this stuff. And also like our last name is Scottish. Riddell is Scottish, so yeah.
But I mean, not that I can't enjoy a period piece, but it's just not my thing. Like, I'm not like one to go after those type of films. Like, I really like biographical pieces, but when it comes to period pieces, I'm just not huge into it.
I get that.
So,
different strokes.
I thought he did a great job with as you know, Lee said, like, the accent was really good.
Yeah.
I thought, like, you know, they did a really great job with all the production and everything.
The costuming was
great. Was fantastic. I thought the acting was really pretty good. Like,
and it started with an 8-minute Steadicam shot. Uninterrupted 8-minute Steadicam shot.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
At first it was a little like, it felt a little weird to me. I even was like, and you were like,
asked me about it. Yeah, you're like, what's off? Something's off.
I said something's off, and just because of the way they were moving the camera, I had to get used to. But then I got used to it.
Yeah.
But
they were motion. Like, yeah. I think it was shakier than they wanted it to be, and so they were steadying it in post using computers, and it kind of came off. Like, you could,
just a little bit
warbly.
I mean, that's being really picky, but yeah. I mean, that was just like the first few minutes of the film, and I felt like it completely changed after that. We got to see Chris Pine's manhood, which made the news.
That made the news.
The rest of the movie, I was like, and why did we see that? And
we
why?
saw it for
why
like
did we see that?
0.5 seconds.
Exactly.
Half-mast.
But it was kind of funny because he was interviewed about it, and he was like, yeah, everyone's asking me about it, but we see pretty much all of my co-star, what's her face, and no one's talking about that.
And actually, I read an article about that.
Because you see like all of her, and no one's bringing that up. But the fact that you see him, that's like a big deal.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, is that, like, what was it? Her name was Elizabeth in the movie.
Yes.
Yeah. So like
young bride.
Florence Pugh. I don't know how to pronounce the last name. Florence Pugh or something like that.
She was in like the young Macbeth or something.
Yes. Yeah. I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah,
but,
I thought she was great. Like, she was really good. I enjoyed that they chose someone who. She probably would have been a little old even for, let's be honest, like, because they used to take very young brides.
Yes.
But I enjoyed her character. I enjoyed like how courageous they showed her to be and interesting. But it was just kind of funny how, like, when he was interviewed, that was brought up, and it's so true. Such a double standard as far as nudity is concerned. Standard.
Yes, like when we see her naked, we're just like, oh, it's expected.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's a historical period piece, but they throw in some nudity. Kind of to zhuzh it up, but then like, and no one's talking about it. But then, like, you for 0.5 seconds, you see half of Chris Pine's penis, and that's all that the bloggers are talking about. Right. That is all that they're talking. I go on Twitter and I tracked the hashtag Outlaw King.
That's all.
That's all it was.
That's all it was.
There was just like post after post after post. I was like, thanks for showing
freeze
it to
frame
me
it
and still
zoom
framed.
it in. Yeah, exactly.
This is great, guys. Well, his penis was a great supporting actor, but I felt like he did an even better job than his.
I would agree with you.
So to move on to the actual movie, I felt like
you had to bring it up though, like, because everyone's talking about it, which is just ridiculous,
and it's a vicious cycle. But yeah, I enjoyed it, and I thought it was a relentless pace, and it was well acted, well shot, well edited. To a point, and I think that's where I'm kind of like, when I walked away from it, I was just like, that was a good movie, but
didn't it feel like it should be longer? Because I feel like they stopped right when I was like, it felt like there should be like an extra like 30 minutes.
That's exactly what I said to you when we finished. I said, I was like, I feel like we're missing 30 or maybe even 60 minutes. And
right?
Maybe it's the Braveheart syndrome, because Braveheart is like 5 days long.
Like, you mentally prepare yourself to be like in for the long haul when you watch a movie like that?
Yeah, like so we got home from the theater from seeing Girl in the Spider's Web, and we're like, hey, the baby's asleep.
Let's watch Outlaw
I'm awake.
King, yeah.
Let's watch Outlaw King. And then I was like, So like, like, hey, let's go in for the long haul. And then I check the time and it's 2 hours and 1 minute. I was like, oh,
We can do that.
oh yeah, totally. We can do that. And so when we finished it, it felt incomplete. It felt truncated. And then I find out later, Lee actually sent me the article because he saw my review on Letterboxd, which everyone can find me at the Insane Robin. But it was, so David Mackenzie, after he debuted it at the Toronto Film Festival, people didn't really like it. And so he cut 23 minutes from it.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of time.
That's probably what felt like it was missing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, the reviews got better and better after his truncated version.
That's very interesting.
But I want to see that longer version.
Yeah. Like, it was very violent in places. But I guess not unexpected because of the subject matter.
Yes. And they weren't, like, they didn't, there was no surprise violence.
No. And it wasn't, like, super unnecessary. Like, I feel like I fast forwarded for you. Okay, yeah, that's true. Sometimes I forget when you do that for me because I still watch movies like a child because I have you as my husband. Like, even in the movie theater, for Spider's Web, you like covered my eyes during one part, and I was just like, I am always going to be the child underneath the blanket.
Hey, but you are thankful I do that. You need to tell the audience.
I am. No, I totally am.
That I don't treat you like a child.
No. But it just makes me laugh because I am a 30-year-old woman and I still like have a sensor, which is good. Like, I don't need that stuff in my brain, and I appreciate that. And I do tell you,
thank you.
Please help me out because I don't want that stuff in my brain. But it makes me laugh at myself.
Well, it's great practice for Ripley when she grows up.
That's right, exactly. You'll be doing it for both of us, so I don't know how you're going to handle that.
I won't be showing her Outlaw King.
That's true.
Or Spider's Web, but...
Very true. No, so I mean, I feel like when you watch a film like that, period piece, where it is a very violent period of history, you mentally prepare for that type of violence. But I did not think that they went overboard as far as, like, there's a lot of times when, terrible things happen, like, during that time, but I didn't think that they went overboard with like showing too much that was like super like when like the moments in like Braveheart when they like were like taking the women and like they were raping and like that was really disturbing.
See, like, guys with their limbs chopped off.
Yeah, exactly. Like I feel like they did a really good job of not showing us those parts and like hinting at the fact that those things happened without showing it. And that was really good
and
appreciated because yes, it happened, but do we have to see it? No.
Yeah.
And to understand that it happened, I don't think necessarily you always have to see that stuff.
So I agree with you, and I think that's the main thing is that like I enjoyed it. It's just it felt like it was missing something, and it turns out it was.
Yeah. Especially, I feel really towards the end. Like, I really feel like maybe it felt like, okay, we had the battle, and then we're on the beach.
Let's hurry up.
Let's hurry up
and finish.
Yeah, and then we'll just use titles to tell you what happened.
And it's just
at the end.
It bothers me because I know we shouldn't compare it to Braveheart, but Braveheart is so ingrained in our culture. Like, it was such a huge, massive hit. Everybody knows Braveheart. Everyone's seen Braveheart. Doesn't mean everybody likes it, but everybody's aware of it. Like the movie ended essentially with William Wallace's death, and then he says, "Oh yeah, BT Dubs, Robert the Bruce brings Scotland to freedom."
Right.
And so I felt like this was going to be a spiritual sequel to Braveheart, so that we actually got to see Robert the Bruce bring Scotland to freedom. We don't. They do the same thing again, where they show a battle, which was an important battle and a turning point,
right,
for the Scottish rebels.
But you really didn't see the moment that you were kind of waiting. Like, this is what he's known for, right?
Yeah.
So,
and I know, like, it's hard to do because, with every movie about a rebellion or about a war. Like, wars don't end with just one battle.
Right.
Wars aren't won with one swipe of the sword.
I'm pretty sure I thought that growing up because of all the movies that show, like, okay, they won that one battle, now we're good.
Well, like look at Return of the Jedi, a fictional, like,
like, oh, well,
okay, we won. Well, why did we win? well, I mean, we killed the Emperor and blew up the Death Star
Right.
the second time.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, but they still have
Matter of days here.
they still have people all over the galaxy. They have fleets all over the galaxy. Nope,
Right.
nope, we won. We won. It's done.
Exactly. And everyone knows it too.
Yeah. And so it's that kind of thing. And so,
Yeah.
like, I know it's hard to do that, but I was expecting a little bit more than what we got, especially towards the end.
I get it. Yeah. But I enjoyed it. I think it's worth like watching on Netflix. I do think it is worth it, but did I think it was like the best thing ever? No.
I'm kind of with you too, where I'm like, okay, I saw it, and I don't really feel the need to see it again. Where when it comes to Braveheart, I'm just like, yeah, no, I will watch that again.
Yeah.
And
the fiction.
But if for some, I doubt this will ever happen. I know it won't ever happen. But if they ever released that 23-minute extra version, I probably would give that another shot.
Yeah, I think I would too.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so what do you think? You think we should move on to The Girl in Spider's Web?
Yeah. Let's do it.
So if you're a longtime listener, you know that The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, directed by David Fincher, that was released in 2011, is one of our favorite movies of all time.
It really is. It really is.
No joke,
Yeah.
no exaggeration. It's one of our favorite movies of all time. We've probably seen that movie together one of the most. Like, out of the movies that we've seen the most together, that is towards the top, if not at the top.
Yeah, it's very true.
Once
yeah.
you take out, like, White Christmas or something.
The seasonal ones, like the Halloween stuff.
Yeah. And so I was always really, really sad that we weren't going to get a true sequel to David Fincher's film, with Daniel Craig and with Rooney Mara, and directed by
because it was
David Fincher.
It was just so perfect. I mean, we were all about it. Not everyone is all about it. A lot of people, yeah, exactly. A lot of people are all about the Swedish versions, and hey, more power to you if you like those. But we were all about the Rooney Mara and David Fincher, and we were all about them. So I don't know, it just the way they told the story, the things they excluded, we really appreciated. We read the books.
Yes.
We've read all the books. We have them.
And we like them.
We do, yeah. I definitely feel like I like Dragon Tattoos the most.
Oh, yeah.
100%. But we appreciate them. And actually, you just read Spider's Web.
I did in preparation for this movie,
but I did not make it all the way through.
No, we started it at the same time, and we finished at the same time. We're like, I don't know if I can do this.
Yes.
Well, when this movie was announced and we saw the teaser trailer and everything like that, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to give it another shot. And so I read it and finished it, and then I went back and watched the teaser trailer. I was like, where's the movie? Where's the book?
Right.
Because watching the teaser trailer, for anybody who's read the book, if you watch the teaser trailer, you're just like, is this Spider's Web in name only? Because there was nothing that I could recognize from the book.
Yeah.
Now, once the full trailer came out, I was just like, okay, there's a few things here and there, I guess they
glimpses.
Glimpses from the novel. But after seeing it in the theater, it is a loose adaptation from the book.
Okay.
Loose adaptation.
Okay.
And with Dragon Tattoo, like, here's the thing, is that I've read the book, I've listened to the audiobook, I've watched the Swedish version, I watched the Fincher version,
right.
I read the comic book. The Fincher's, I don't care what you guys think. I don't care what anybody else thinks. The Fincher's version is the best telling of that story. It's better than the novel, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it takes out things that really were unnecessary in the novel. It makes it more succinct.
Yep.
In a good way. Storylines that really don't need to be told. I feel like this might be blasphemy, but I feel like sometimes those novels become a victim of too many characters.
Oh, yeah.
And not enough time to really spend with them. And, Lizbeth was definitely most, interesting. And I feel like in Dragon Tattoo, I don't know how she really was in Spider's Web because I didn't get through all of it. But we really enjoyed Mikkel and Lizbeth together. And so when you get to that part of the book and the movie, that's where we really enjoy the two of them. So Spider's Web was written by someone completely different.
Yes, I can never, ever remember how to pronounce his name. I think it's...
We're terrible with pronunciation.
I know. It's Logenkrantz or something like that. I'm so terrible at that.
But it was not Stieg Larsson.
It was not written by Stieg Larsson, but it's it's based off the characters that that kind of deal. But yeah, that's the thing, is that it wasn't David Lagerkrantz. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, David Lagerkrantz, who actually, a new novel just dropped not that long ago, and it's The Girl Who Takes an Eye for an Eye, and I haven't read it yet, but it's the 5th one in the series.
Okay.
But Stieg Larsson.
So where's that fit in? Do we know?
Right after Spider's Web.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So is that in between? It's in between Dragon Tattoo and no?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, how it goes is, it's Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Okay.
It's Dragon Tattoo, Played with Fire, Hornet's Nest, Spider's Web,
okay,
and Eye for an Eye.
Gotcha.
That's how it goes in that order. Now, the first 3 were written by Stieg Larsson, the last 2 by Lagerkrantz.
Gotcha.
And the thing is that Stieg Larsson died before he could finish his planned 10. He was going to write 10. And it's actually a really fascinating story. I'll give the quick version, but he was an investigative journalist, and when you get married, you have to declare your address, and you have to declare your relationship with the Swedish government. He didn't want to do that because he investigated some really nasty people, and he didn't want people to know where he lived.
Mm-hmm.
And so he didn't get married to the woman that he was in love with. And so when he died, the rights to the novels did not go to his partner. They went to his estranged family.
Mm.
And so they got the rights to his works, and that's why Lagerkrantz was able to write these 2 novels. And so
that's kind of shady.
It is shady. And so originally I was just like, oh, I don't know if I want to read them then. That feels a little weird.
Yeah.
Because Stieg Larsson's partner didn't want this to happen, didn't want Lagerkrantz to write these novels. And so this movie shouldn't exist, this novel shouldn't exist. And it was just a little weird. And I ultimately caved, and because I love these characters so much.
Right.
And it's but the book itself is extremely mediocre. It just is.
Spider's Web.
Spider's Web is extremely, extremely mediocre. It has way too many characters. It does not have a cogent storyline. It has some major roll your eyes moments.
Okay.
With the characters. And some of them I didn't even tell you about because I'm just like, that's stupid. Yeah. And in the book, and I'm not ruining anything for you guys, Mikael and Lizbeth don't see each other until the end of the book. They're not face to face.
Okay.
And that was one thing that I liked that they changed for the movie.
Okay.
Was that Lizbeth and Mikael actually spent some time together, and I was just like, okay, good change.
Okay.
Because our favorite parts of Dragon Tattoo is when they're together.
It's when they're working together,
because in Played with Fire and Hornet's Nest, they're barely together.
Exactly.
And they're even less together in Spider's Web.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and I feel like that's where, they find strength in each other. Mm-hmm. It's all the girl, with Played with Fire, the girl with the dragon tattoo. It's all about Lizbeth, but Mikael is a huge supporter of her, and a great co-star to her throughout.
It's funny though, because even though she's the title character, and the series is about Lizbeth, it's called the Millennium Trilogy.
That's true.
And I feel like even though it's quote unquote about Lizbeth, Mikael is kind of the protagonist in these a little bit more. If you look at the sequels though, and also Spider's Web, is that I feel
aside from
let me rephrase that. Okay, with Dragon Tattoo, the book was split very much in half.
Yes.
It was Mikael's story, Lizbeth's story.
Right.
Mikael's story, Lizbeth's story. And then they get together, and then it's their story.
Right.
In the sequel books, it's the heart of the story is always about Lizbeth. Without Lizbeth, there would be no story. There would be no plot.
Right.
And I feel like Mikael is the framing device around Lizbeth, where we see things through his eyes. And so we experience Lizbeth through Mikhail. Now, I know that that's not completely accurate because there are times when we're with Lizbeth without Mikhail and we see it through her eyes. But it's just, Mikhail has a huge chunk of the story.
Oh, I understand that. No, I'm not saying that, like, he's in them too. It's not that. But I always think about Lizbeth when I think of them. I don't necessarily always.
I think most people do,
Yeah. Okay, so what were your expectations going into this after reading? Because you read the book, I did not. So I was Let me tell you what I was.
Yeah. I want to ask you that. I want to ask you that question. What were you
expecting? Much. Like, I mean, my parents were like, "What movie are you gonna go see?" Because they were babysitting the baby, and I was like, "The Girl with the Spider's Web. It's probably not gonna be very good." Like, we love these characters, but it's probably gonna not be them is what I said. And that's what I was expecting. I was like, well, you know, when I think about, even when I was like reading the novels, I was thinking about Rooney Mara as this character, and she's not 100% the Rooney Mara character in the books. Even like it's a version, you know, like there was even a lot of times when I was like, I can't picture Rooney Mara as this character, which that's okay.
Yeah.
But you know, I love that character so much. And I'm like, well, anything I can have of a little bit, even a taste of that character, I'll be happy. So, I think going in, I was like, this probably not be great, but maybe I'll get like some cool moments. So, how about you?
Yeah, I was when I first saw the trailer. Okay, when I heard, I made peace with never getting a Fincher sequel.
Have you?
Well, it's what I tell myself at night. But and so I was just like, okay, well, we're never going to get a Fincher sequel. Whatever, you know, we'll see what happens. And then when I find out that they're actually making a sequel, but it's not a direct sequel because it's the fourth in the series, and so I'm just like, well, why would they be doing that? Like, are they trying to work off of the hype because that's the latest novel that was released? And are they ignoring Played with Fire and Hornet's Nest and just going like and treating Spider's Web as if it was a direct sequel to Dragon Tattoo? Or did all three of those stories happen?
Right.
And they're actually picking up on the fourth one. I wasn't sure what was going on, and so I didn't know how to feel. And then when I saw the teaser trailer, I was just like, okay, this could be interesting. You know? And then I read the book, and it was mediocre. It was And then I see the full trailer, and I'm just like, are they gonna make her into a superhero? And so I was really hesitant. I was expecting a horrible movie.
Okay.
And so I go in, and sadly, my my fears were made a reality. I feel like they made her into a superhero, and it was even though it looked like a high budget film, it felt like a low budget film. And so like my expectations were incredibly low, but you told me that you actually enjoyed it. You found it entertaining.
Okay, so but it's kind of hard to tell because it's like when your expectations are so low, is it when you so I'm sure all of you have had this experience when you're like, I expect nothing, so if you get anything, then you're like, all right, like good use of $20 or whatever. Like you're trying to justify it to yourself, like, all right, like I think that there were moments of, you know, like I think that I liked seeing the shadows of Dragon Tattoo in there. I think that's
all it was. It was a shade.
The more I'm like think about it, the more I'm like, oh. No, when I came out of theater, I think I was more jazzed than I am now. Like when I came out of theater, I was like, okay, like I felt Sweden. I felt a little bit. I felt a little bit of Dragon Tattoo.
That's the thing, though, is that I felt like the director was chasing his own shadow in trying to escape Fincher's style. Where
yeah, but how do you do that when you're filming the same place with the same characters?
That's what I'm saying. You can't. He was trying not to imitate Fincher while still homaging to Fincher style with the 2011 picture, and it didn't work. It became a schizophrenic mess.
It was weird. It felt weird.
It was going back and forth between. I'm just like, oh well, I'm kind of feeling like the 2011 version, but this is radically different at the same time. And they used the same font.
I know.
And the opening was
like, I mean, it was like
it was influenced.
It was totally influenced. The whole opening sequence of, if you remember the 2011 one, where they use a lot of like
it's
black clay oil and
it's
and like technology
like chords mixed with
right.
Like you said, like oil and CGI heads and. It's beautiful.
Oh,
it's
gosh.
absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
It's one of the best things about the movie is that opening sequence. And then they do this half-hearted homage to it.
Like 007 half-assed.
Yeah, it was like a mixture. It was a mixture. It was as if 007 did a version of a Dragon Tattoo. And that's the problem.
Yeah.
That is the problem.
That's
is that
what this was.
It felt like they were trying to do the 007 version of Dragon Tattoo.
Yeah.
Which is even more ironic because 007 was in Dragon Tattoo.
That's hilarious.
And like it was funny because I kind of I had this Harry Potter moment. Where Harry Potter gets back to it's in the last film and he gets back to Hogwarts and he confronts Snape and he says, "How dare you stand where he stood?" That's kind of when I saw the text treatment, like the same font of Dragon Tattoo, I was like, "How dare you? You are not Dragon Tattoo." But no, like I'm being, of course, over dramatic.
Of course.
At the same time, I'm kind of like, well, if you're going to be different, be different.
Mm-hmm.
Do something different. Have your own style. Have your own interpretation. But don't half-ass it. Either try to replicate Fincher style and replicate it and be a direct sequel to Dragon Tattoo from 2011, or do something completely different.
I agree, but I really don't. I think that he was in a box here. So you're, again, you're dealing with the same characters, not the same actors.
No. And
you're filming the same location, which is not a big country. Okay, no. So like, I mean, we're talking about, and we're in this in a city. Okay, so you can't go too far from the influences and. It just felt like a TV movie version.
Yes, that is
Didn't
spot
it?
on.
It felt like the TV movie.
It felt like a TV movie version, and like okay,
the in places had a little bit more money. Like in certain locations, like I felt like they spent more money than others.
Yes,
but like I think the place where it felt the most off the bat to me like a TV movie was when they were in Millennium's office. And then you see the characters that are supposed to be they were Mikael and who is
Erica.
Okay, Erica and Mikael's character, and they were making sure you knew that that's who they were.
There was so much exposition.
Yeah, and it was kind of painful because it was like, hey, remember those other actors that you really liked?
Do you remember Robin Wright and Daniel Craig?
Yeah.
Do you remember how great they were? We're not them.
Exactly.
So we have to remind you what characters we're playing.
Exactly.
Okay, I wrote a really quick review and I want to get this out. And so we can talk about it a little bit. All right, so here we go. Real quick. Here's my Letterboxd quick review.
Okay.
A film you'll like this.
Oh, okay.
A film more suitable for a direct-to-DVD than theatrical distribution. Mountains of plot with very little story and even less character development. I couldn't tell if this was a sequel to Dragon Tattoo. I couldn't tell if this was a sequel to Dragon Tattoo or a sequel to Hornet's Nest or a half-hearted attempt at a standalone. Foy did a serviceable Lizbeth, but it was definitely built on the back of Mara, just with none of the edge. Gudnissen, as Blomqvist, was a veritable husk of the character compared to Craig and Nyquist. Not to be too hard on him, I feel like the material gave him nothing to work with. Why they chose an actor only 6 years older than Foy's Lizbeth, I will never know. This was a loose adaptation to a mediocre book. The onus of the story in the novel was the safety of a boy, but in typical movie fashion they had to up the ante to global thermal nuclear war. Same with Salander. She's no longer a hacker with an eidetic memory, but now Batman with a magic cell phone. The days of Fincher and Millennium are over. I've accepted that. I was just hoping for something better than this. Thus saith my review.
No, it's good. You're right. I do appreciate that. Yeah. No, it's good. It's really good.
Yeah, like that actor who played Mikhail, there's nothing wrong with him.
There's nothing wrong with him, but
he was so empty.
He didn't have anything to do.
Nothing to do.
But he was a babysitter.
They didn't.
He literally was a babysitter in this movie.
There wasn't even a character to waste with him.
No.
He just wasn't even there.
No, like think about what did he actually do in this film?
He showed up for some exposition, and then he was a babysitter.
Yeah,
That's
all. Right?
Dragon Tattoo was a thriller and mystery.
This wasn't.
And this was an action film.
Yeah, and that's not what the Millennium series is.
The Millennium series is not an action film. It's not Batman. It's not James Bond.
All. I mean, yeah.
They made her a vigilante.
Oh my gosh.
And they even called her such.
Yeah.
In the opening.
Apparently
she's famous. She's a famous criminal now.
Yeah, so now you have to watch your back like Batman, like you said, because
they call her vigilantism,
Yeah, because if you're mistreating a woman, then she's going to come to your house.
They even gave her a freaking Batmobile.
Yeah, they did.
It was a black Lamborghini.
Yeah.
What did Batman drive in The Dark Knight? A Lamborghini. They gave her a bat cave.
Well, and here's the thing. The power of Lizbeth is not from her physical strength. It's from her mind and her ability to outwit and have this genius ability to use technology. And we saw her
magic.
Right. We saw her kicking ass, which is, there's nothing wrong with her kicking ass. Don't get me wrong.
Which Lizbeth does do.
Absolutely. But she does it in a much more realistic, practical way.
For a girl who's supposed to be 90 pounds.
Exactly. And that's part of her character. And so, yes, like you said, it's not a magic cell phone. There's always a very plotted out way that she's able to take down people with technology.
It's
smarter than that.
It's not just I have a cell phone so I can hack into this car, or I can hack into these locks, or I can hack into these police stations.
That's the thing is she could use that cell phone. She could do anything in this movie.
It was her utility belt.
Yes. It was wait, what?
They even gave her a hood, it was a costume.
It was hard. It was hard. It was
so hard. I was just she's Batman. And I love Batman, but there's only one Batman. And there's only one Lizbeth.
Right. And that's the thing is it felt like let Lizbeth be Lizbeth. Mm-hmm. That's the cool part about that character is that this is her superpower. Is that, she's unassuming. You would never guess that this person would be able to do this. But she's so smart that she's 2 steps ahead of you the whole time.
She's an emo. She's a 90-pound emo kid with anger problems.
Right.
Who just happens to be one of the smartest people and who has an eidetic memory.
Exactly.
That's who she is.
Yeah.
She doesn't need a Batmobile. She doesn't need a Batcave. She doesn't need a utility belt.
No.
She doesn't need a costume.
No.
She's Lizbeth. She can outsmart you by being a hacker.
Right. Well, and
not having a plot device in her phone.
In some of the books, a lot of her work comes from she's in a hospital bed and she's able to take down people with her computer. Mm-hmm. That's there's nothing wrong with her. Okay, so she can physically kick ass, but again, the power of her comes from her mind and the fact that she can do all this stuff. And yeah, so it was bothersome because she really was a superhero in this. Yeah. Was there any moments that you really?
Well, there was one moment that kind of popped into my head that pissed me off, but then at the same time, I was like, "Oh, okay, I see what they're doing." When the CIA guy, the NSA guy, it's really funny. In the novel, the NSA guy was not in the book that much.
Okay, and they made him
made him in the movie. They made him an integral character,
right?
But in the book, he's an old, fat, white guy. And in the movie, he's a young, attractive black man. And it's just, I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. It was
I was
just
gonna say,
really
it's not a
interesting
bad
because
change.
they completely changed. Yeah, they completely changed the character, but that's okay because it was just such a minor character. It's not like I have any loyalty towards that. But there was a moment when the NSA guy finds one of Lizbeth's girlfriends in a club and then like says like, hey, you know, I'm looking for Lizbeth, you know, how do I contact her? And she's like, well, I'm not going to tell you how. And the NSA guy is just like, oh, well, I can go find her other girlfriends and there's at least 5 in here. And she gets all pissed off. She's like, oh, that bad word. And she hands him a cell phone in order to contact Lizbeth. Well, immediately I was just like, that's crap. That's stupid. No way would this girl be sexually active with Lizbeth and ever expect fidelity. That's just not how it works.
I was going to say, like, Elizabeth is never attached.
No, and it made me angry. But then when it turned out that Lizbeth gave her that cell phone to give to the NSA guy, I was like, oh, okay.
Right.
Okay. And like, see, that's Lizbeth being smart.
Right.
That's Lizbeth doing social hacking as well as hacking.
Right.
And it, like that whole sequence of, I guess that's kind of a spoiler. I guess I just kind of spoiled. I'm sorry, guys. You get the one spoiler. I'm sorry I ruined it for you. That's that one moment I spoiled for you. I won't spoil anything else. But it was, yeah, it was like, I liked that sequence because there wasn't a major sequence.
No,
or
it
anything
really
like that.
wasn't.
It was a one minor
I was gonna say,
thing.
it's just a moment.
It's just one moment. Like that, I did enjoy that because it felt true to the character.
Yes. Yeah. That kind of thing is more true to the character. Yeah. Well, I guess, can we get into spoiler if that's even a thing?
Yeah,
I mean,
let's go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, from here on out, I gave you a minor one just to give
there
you a
go.
taste.
That's right.
Taste of spoilers.
Yeah, there you go.
But from here on out, let's go ahead and give some real spoilers. So if you haven't seen it yet, go ahead, pause the show, go see it, come back and listen to the rest. You've been warned.
So one of the main things that confused me about, I'll give something good too, but one of the main things that confused me about the plot was, why was the dad and the son in Sweden?
Yeah. It's confusing because they didn't explain it in the movie.
Yeah, like, why were they just hanging out in Sweden where like someone could get them?
They
need to get to San Francisco.
So in the August, the kid, in the novel, he was extremely, extremely autistic, didn't talk, but they found out that he was an extremely good artist. He was almost mathematical in his precision with his art, and that's the reason why they wanted to, the bad guys wanted to snag August, is because he was able to identify the killer of his father through his art. Like, because he had a photographic memory, he was able to draw the killer, and he's like, oh crap, like, I should have killed this kid when I had the chance, and so I need to get him so I can kill him so he doesn't ID me with the cops.
Okay. Yeah, because that was not very clear.
And what happened is that August was with his mother in Sweden and his mother's boyfriend, and the dad was in San Francisco, working in Silicon Valley, and he wasn't really a part of the family anymore. Like, he just let his ex-wife kind of take care of the kid. But then when he found out that his ex-wife was kind of like
neglecting,
kind of neglecting him, and the boyfriend was abusing August and using the child support checks. That's when the father was just like, screw this, I'm taking him away and you're not going to say anything about it. And that's why he was in Sweden, to get August.
Okay.
And that's when he found out that somebody was coming and trying to kill him and steal the program.
Okay.
And the
that
program
was not fleshed out in the movie.
And also, like, the program, like, it's what is always used in movies about hackers. It's the ultimate hacker's tool where you can hack into everything and do anything and gain any kind of knowledge. But there was no emphasis on nuclear weapons at all.
Okay, so they just upped the game.
Yeah. It was really just, so
it's more important.
It was more about the murder itself and keeping August safe, and then about the program.
Okay.
And that's mainly what it was.
Yeah.
And so, and in the book, Lizbeth that was her main concern, was keeping August safe.
Okay.
That was her main drive, and that's what got her back in the quote unquote the game.
Okay.
Was to keep August safe.
Well, I mean, you got some of that in this one.
Yeah.
For sure. I also felt like it was a real... Okay, so how much was the sister involved in the book?
Not as much. It's interesting because in the book they never meet. They never see each other face to face.
Oh, never?
No, never.
Oh.
I don't think so, no.
Was she like a crime lord?
Yeah, she was.
Okay.
Like that was actually accurate.
Okay.
She took over her father's business and her crime business.
Okay.
And so that was accurate. Although they inferred that Zelichenko, Lizbeth's father, abused the children, and that wasn't the case. Like sexually abused the children, that wasn't the case in the books.
Yeah. Okay.
And also, like Lizbeth's sister was super pissed at Lizbeth for never coming back and saving her. Lizbeth's sister chose their father. Like, she didn't just fall into it. Like, she
knew what she was doing.
She knew what she was doing. She despised their mother.
Okay.
And loved their father. And so it was just kind of like Lizbeth gravitated more towards the mother.
Okay.
And the sister gravitated more towards the father. The father was an abusive crime lord.
Okay.
And Lizbeth's mother's was an abused wife.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what started her horrible backstory about men who hate women. That's the name of the first novel. Is
right.
Men who hate women.
Right.
And so that kind of threw me off a little bit because they were trying to add more connection between the siblings, but it was just two siblings that just hated each other.
Okay.
Because they pick sides.
Okay. I just wondered if it was as dramatic as what they made it in the movie, because it seemed very dramatic and very, epic.
There was no dramatic standoff. There was no dramatic.
But there also was. I know. I mean, okay, so it is hard though, because I feel like, okay, given this material, and it's not the same actors, and some people may even just like be walking into this movie theater without any previous knowledge. It's possible, right? Mm-hmm. It just felt like you had no connection to the characters, and you had no reason to care. Like when she's like burning down her family's, castle or whatever it was.
Also, that was a complete fabrication from the novel, because why would a crime lord have this giant castle in one location?
And that's like where they're operating everything out of. Like, yeah, that's true.
That just didn't make sense.
Yeah, that didn't make sense either. Yeah, I think that there were moments which were interesting. Like, again, it was all the technology things that interested me. So like when she had her little like cameras like set up outside of like there was a sequence of like her ordering food, and you weren't sure whether someone's going to come into her door or whether, because she saw like on the screen or whatever what was happening, and then you realize like, oh, it was just food and she's actually filming someone else. Like that felt more like something that you would see in one of the films that we know and love. But yeah, like that kind of thing where like she's using technology, she's able to do that, but not technology that's out of the realms of possibility, where it's just like this magical device that she's invented.
And then all of a sudden Plague comes in.
Oh my gosh.
And he's creating 3D renders.
I was gonna say
of the building.
It was just like Dark Knight.
Yeah.
It was just like Dark Knight.
It was just like Dark Knight. Yeah. It was where Lizbeth
and he was taking shots and
like he was Lucius and Alfred put together. Oh, and a little bit of Barbara Gordon when she was Oracle.
There you go.
So many parallels.
And it was, that part really bothered me. I was like, what?
That's not who Plague is.
That's
not what Plague does.
No, although I did like seeing that actor as Plague.
Yes.
Because he was from Mindhunter. Yeah.
Yeah, he played Ed Kemper in Mindhunter.
Yeah, and
he makes a great Plague.
He does. Like, if you were to do it again, like, yeah, he's a great Plague.
But they just gave him crap to do.
Exactly.
Just like Mikhail.
Yeah, Mikhail is just...
Now let's talk about Claire Foy a little bit because we haven't.
Not really.
So let's go ahead and round out the show with that. So
Okay,
Claire Foy,
sounds good.
I mean, Claire Foy is one of those actresses where even if it's a mediocre movie, you're going to get a good performance out of her.
Yeah, she's the only thing that didn't feel like a TV movie to me about this film.
And when I saw, even though they gave her crap things to do and they made her Batman and a vigilante and everything like that, I still saw Lizbeth with Claire Foy.
Yeah, I saw it briefly. I think she's a little too polished for me.
Yes. No, like I said in my mini review, no edge.
But I don't know whether it's because I just see Claire Foy as like the queen, you know,
it's quite possible
from The Crown, or whether. But I really was trying. I was like, okay, no, she's someone else, you know. Like I was really trying to strip that away, and I do think that she got into character. I really do think that she put herself into it. But I just think that she herself is too polished for Elizabeth.
Mm-hmm. But
I do think that she did her best. That's terrible.
She did her best. Isn't she trying her hardest?
No, but I really do think that she was probably the best part.
Yes.
For sure. Of the movie. And like I said, the only part that didn't feel like a TV movie.
And that's what's sad though. She was the best part.
And she wasn't 100%
and
what
she
I
wasn't
wanted.
100%. Yeah, she did an imitation of Rooney Mara's Lizbeth.
Yeah.
With no edge though.
No
like
edge.
there was no danger, no nothing.
Mm-mm.
And that's the thing. Like I said, is like she did a good Lizbeth, but it was built on the back of Rooney Mara.
Yeah, it feels like, I don't know, it just felt like she was pretending. Like you put on, you know, some black leather and then you're pretending to be this character. Mm-hmm. You slouch a little bit in your chair. Whereas like when Rooney was doing it, it just felt very organic. It felt like, I mean, when you watched Rooney and other things, you do not even, like, she just was Lizbeth. Didn't you, like, read, like, there was, like, some emails about her, like, emailing, like, an exec?
Yes.
Like, hey, are we going to do this?
Let me try to bring that up. But, like, that's the thing is that, like, Rooney Mara put her heart and soul into the role. And that's the thing, like, it comes through, like, this might sound a little funny that I'm bringing this up, but she got a nipple ring.
Yeah, I was actually going to bring that up. Yeah,
she got a real nipple ring just for this role,
and it's not comfortable.
And she kept it for the sequel.
Right.
She kept it in there, thinking that there was going to be a sequel. So years ago, Sony got hacked, and tons of their emails were released. Now Lee Hutchison sent this to me because he knows that I love Dragon Tattoo. So this is an email from Rooney Mara to Amy Pascal, and it's Amy Pascal is an exec at Sony. Dear Amy, hello, how are you? I hope you are well. It's been a very long time. I'm writing because I wanted to ask you about the Dragon Tattoo sequels. Logic tells me they are not ever happening, as it's been almost 3 years since it came out. But I had still been holding out a little bit of hope. I know there had been talks to do some sort of TV version without me. People still ask me about it all the time, and I never know quite what to say, so I guess I just wanted to ask you so I could know for myself and so that I can let it go for good if that's the case. It's obviously a character and an experience I hold very close. Hope you're doing well. Sincerely, Rooney. Isn't that heartbreaking?
That makes me so sad.
It's so sad.
Rooney, we love you.
We love you, Rooney.
That's so sad.
Yeah.
Because she wants to do it just as much as we want her to do it.
That's the thing. Is like people who love the movie wanted Rooney to do it again.
Yeah.
And Rooney wanted to do it again herself.
Exactly. Ugh. Ugh.
Well, I guess we'll leave it on that depressing
note. That
note.
is pretty depressing.
It's so depressing. And it's never going to happen. Like
I know,
like, there's a scientific theory that there's a limitless amount of universes out there. For every decision, there's a new universe. So we just got to live happy with the knowledge that there's a universe out there where a David Fincher Dragon Tattoo sequel was made.
All right, buddy.
All right. Well, let us know if you saw Outlaw King or if you saw Spider's Web. Let us know what you thought. Email us by going to thenerdparty.com/contact, select Nerd Nuptial from the drop-down menu, fill out the form, and it'll send us an email right to us. You can also find us on social media. If you go to thenerdparty.com, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all over the place. You can find me personally on Twitter at @TheInsaneRobin. I love you.
I know.
Scully,
Yes?
marry me.
I love you and I like you.
I love you and I like you.
I love that woman. I love her more than sharks love blood.
I love you.
You don't